All right, so we got the hangout with
Mhm.
Tara, Alex, Lindsay, Jim, Sean, and yeah, we were actually just talking about AI and how it is having a negative impact on people by creating a false sense of security that they're able to get things right, when in reality, it reads beautifully, it sounds legal, but it's just not. And we know it because at HR Law Made Easy, we do the subscription stuff. Like you can subscribe to the Handbook Creator and you can self serve, but we also have a full service team that will work with organizations, review their existing documentation, go through their existing handbooks, many of which have been created using AI. And just time and time again, we find mistakes, statements in there that are illegal or that create risk for the organization, like true litigation risk. Anyway, I that's a little bit of a segue into what we were talking about. And I know y'all were riffing a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I was just pointing out, as you know, my day job is tech related, and working with actual AI systems here and there, and evaluating the different models and what they're good at and what they're not good at, and ultimately, anyone who knows anything about AI and how it works, and anyone who knows anything about HR or the legal system and how it works, none of those groups of people think that it's a good idea, and it's because they know AI is made to sort of give you the yes answer, give you the like, yeah, everything's great and amazing, and this is awesome. It's very encouraging, and that's because that's what it's been trained to do. And it doesn't actually know anything. Like, it's a piece of software that's predicting what's the next best word to put here based on everything that has been set up to this point.
I think that's key, is predicting.
Yeah, and Tara, you made such a good point too. It's just how many people are using this in their daily lives now, which is awesome. It's helping with recipes and Netflix choices and all that sort of stuff. And if you haven't been using it for Netflix choices, it crushes. But when it comes to the people that actually know their business, coders can make use of it, but they're the expert. Lawyers can make use of it, but a normal person going way out of their realm and trying to do astrophysics and become an astronaut, you're going to end up cold in space. It's not the right use of this technology, not at this point.
Yeah. And I do think that that's key to really just touch on, because even given so many people are wanting to start small businesses and they don't know, and we'll say laws and everything else, I would assume or think that I could go in and just have it help me do a basic handbook, do a basic this, and it be good enough, right? And finding out or knowing the truth that good enough, it doesn't.
Well, I was talking with Alex about this last week, and this might be kind of an obscure reference, but if you guys have seen The Fifth Element, Lou Dallas, right? Yeah. So there's a scene where she's just running through books, and it's like milliseconds, and she's absorbing all this material, and that's what AI is doing. It's absorbing all of this material that's out there, but remember, things on the internet never die. They don't go away. So your AI model, you could be looking for labor laws in the state of Washington, and it's reading all the labor laws that have ever been put on the internet from 2004 through current times, and giving you a summary of that, not what's the most current, what's the most up-to-date version.
Yeah. And then Sean, you were just mentioning these court cases where what we were talking about, good enough. I got a good enough in legal compliance. Good enough isn't a thing. It is either legal or it's one of the very rare black and white systems.
Yeah. We run into this all the time with companies that we work with, and that's that and it creates confusion, because most business owners, most businesses, even large ones, don't know what they don't know, right? So you end up with a situation where there is an organization, they've been using whatever they've used historically to try to get this right, whether it was AI or legal research that they did on their own, or maybe they hired an attorney to create a handbook. And in their minds, it's like, oh, well, I've got a handbook. I've got some posters in my break room. I've got some policies and procedures. I know, subscribe to some news updates or information from some website. And, in my mind, I'm doing the things I should be doing. What I know what we did, which was very different, is we started off with, well, let's go get every law. Like, let's just go get all the laws, right? And then step two, after we got the laws, we had a team of lawyers read them. It took us years to get through all this stuff and then simply explain them. But then at the tail end of that journey is what we call a checklist. And there's really two checklists. There's a list of things that you legally have to do, no matter where you're operating. So say you're in Oklahoma, there's over 160. You read all the laws, of which there are t- tens of thousands of laws in Oklahoma. When you add in the federal laws, it's over 800,000 laws. So you go through all those laws, right? So you have the federal, you have the local laws. But when you're done with all that, there's over 160 individual things you need to do in Oklahoma to be what we would call compliant, which just simply means you're following the HR laws. You're not doing extra stuff. You may or may not be doing that, but you're just following the law. Now, if you don't have that checklist, if you don't know exactly what those things are that you need to do, you get to the end of a month or a quarter or a year or 5 years as an HR professional or as a company, and you think you're doing things right. And then bam, you get hit with a lawsuit. And what the lawyer does is the lawyer finds all the things you didn't do right.
Mm-hmm.
The shame of it, it breaks my heart truly, is that most companies genuinely care about their people. They really want to do things right. In fact, they've got a full-time person or a team that's got subscriptions to things, and they're doing all they can in their minds, all they can to get it right. But they were never given a list of the things to do because no one had previously gone out and grabbed all those laws and said, hey, we're going to put them in a container. We're going to then create a list of things that you need to do to stay legally compliant. And every one of those things that you're not presently doing, what happens is a lawyer puts it on a list of things that gets presented to a court or gets presented to your attorney. More often than not, your attorney looks at that list and comes back to you and says, listen, we need to settle because this is not going to look good in court. So it's really that not knowing. And AI, while it may or may not have access to all the employment laws at this point, it hallucinates and it will make stuff up. But what it doesn't do is look at all of those requirements and put together a list. Like, here are the things you need to do. You may be able to feed it a law. It may actually do a pretty good job of reading that law, but it's not going to create easily understandable, legally compliant policies. It's not going to make sure you're doing everything you need to do legally, which actually goes far beyond handbooks. Handbooks, if you add up all the policies in a handbook and let's say you put them on that list as an individual task or thing to do, handbooks and policies only make up about 60% of compliance. And when I say compliance, I mean following the law. There's a lot of other things that need to be done outside of just handbooks.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say a little real life example with this use of AI, just like jumbling things and not getting it right. So I put together a recipe share book for our company based on recipes that you all like submitted, and we shared these for fall. I thought this would be a great idea to start doing this for my kids to get like some of the recipes that they love that I put together. I grabbed all the recipes that I have, I dropped them into AI thinking that they're going to be able to spit out this, beautiful document that I can then just format. The way that it messed up those recipes, I was like, no, like keep it the same. Like, why did you take all this stuff out? These are not even like close to what I put in there. And it just, wanted to shorten things, wanted to make it more concise. Now we're missing steps. Now we're missing ingredients. Like measurements are taken out from not all over, but little secret spots where you're like, there's no salt in those cookies. I'm sorry, that doesn't work. And it can be very much the same way when you ask it to read a bunch of laws, even if you're going in and intricately handing it like one law at a time and just having it try to make this more concise and simple to understand. It can easily take out really important pieces that are going to change that in a way that opens you up for lawsuits if you put that in your handbook.
That's an awesome analogy. That's perfect.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned. Yeah. AI is really great for conversation or fun letters or scripts or marketing stuff. I actually find it to be very useful for those types of activities. Not so good for staying compliant or following the rules.
Getting that initial list is your recipe. And if it has a bad time with recipes, that's a really bad sign.
Yeah. Now, separate from that, like we talked about handbook presentations, and I remember the first time I showed a senior executive our handbook presentations, they stopped and they physically leaned in towards their computer with like kind of as though they didn't believe what they were seeing on their computer. And I walked through like what this was, and they were like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is incredible, because nobody reads our handbooks. And obviously the whole point of the activity, the whole point of the exercise. So in case we're wondering, like, these policies that are required by the government, it's because the government has told a company, you must inform and your employees must understand whatever they tell you that you need to do. Inform and they must understand. So if they're not reading it, it's impossible for them to understand. If it's too complicated for them to read and understand, then they can't understand. So these video presentations that really just break things down simply and explain things in plain English that a truly like 10-year-old level, which is not to be insulting to people's intelligences, but just to really illustrate the value of really simplifying things. It is the way to get that understanding in to anybody. And we've got it in multiple languages, and it's truly a game changer. I mean, there's a couple of companies out there that let you on your own create videos and or moving images. But for the first time, we as an organization have created the videos, connected them to every single policy, and they're just ready for you to go use. Your employees can watch and listen to and really understand these legally required things that they're supposed to understand according to the government. And for the first time, they can really do it. It's a game changer. There is a client of ours who shall remain nameless who had to sit down and read their handbook to their employees, like, was it once a quarter or something? And even then they had people falling asleep. They didn't understand what they were saying. It was just miserable times. And they're now using the handbook presentations and they love it.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't take away from those that really do love to read and just want the PDF version or even a printed version where they can sit down and just absorb it and read it. But we have all those people in our organizations. Every organization has a variety of people who learn different ways, right? So visually, audibly, or if you want to just sit down and read it, all of those options are available.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it's the holidays. And as much as I love hanging out with y'all, there may be some shopping that needs to get done. And even if not, I would prefer that you be with other people that you love.
Yeah.
So it's been fun hanging out with you.